Hello, and welcome to the first video in the Talk Data to Me series by Counselor Connect. This series focuses on specific skills and tools to help counselors easily analyze and disaggregate data. In the final video, we will also learn ways to share your data once the analysis is complete. In this video, we will identify tools available to sort, filter, and manipulate data. We hope you will feel more confidence in these skills, and we will make a plan for how to apply your newfound knowledge. Let me introduce you to today's speakers. First, we have Brittanie Davis, a school counselor at Kokomo High School. And my name is Sam Vidal, and I am a professional learning specialist in school counseling at Keep Indiana Learning, a department of CIESC. We are both members of the Comprehensive School Counseling Strategic Priority Team for Counselor Connect. Counselor Connect is an expert network of student service professionals who provide professional development, resources, and support. Now, let's dive in. And today we will be using a fake data set so that we don't share any confidential student information. But in practice, I would pull this data report from my student information system. Most student information systems will allow you to download a report into a CSV file that you can open in Excel or Google Sheets. We will primarily use Google Sheets today because it allows us to work on the same document simultaneously, and it saves our work as we go. However, we will also show you some skills in Excel so that you're familiar with the differences. So let's start by learning how to freeze rows or columns. This tool can be helpful if you have a spreadsheet with a lot of data that requires scrolling vertically or horizontally. So first, in Google Sheets, what I want to do is select the row or column that I want to remain still or frozen. So I'm going to select the first two rows here. Next, I'm going to click on View in the toolbar and hover over Freeze. And then I have some options. I am going to select the two rows because I want to freeze rows 1 and 2. Now those should remain frozen, and I can scroll through my data and the heading rows there will stay. If I want to get rid of those frozen rows, I don't want them to be frozen anymore, I do the same thing. I click on View, hover over Freeze, and now I click on No Rows. You can do the same thing with columns. So let's say I want columns A and B to be frozen. I can click on B, View, hover Freeze, and now I'm going to do up to column B. Now columns A and B should be frozen, and I can scroll right and left. And again, View, Freeze, no columns, and now it's unfrozen. Let's take a look at what this looks like in Excel. So if I open this Excel document, and we're going to zoom in, it is a little similar to Google Sheets. It's a little bit more complicated. When you're in Excel, if I wanted to freeze columns A and B here, I would not highlight them. Instead, if I want those two columns to be frozen, I click on the row next, or the column next to it. Then I click on View, and there are these little icons at the top: freeze panes, freeze top row, or freeze first column. I'm going to click Freeze Panes. And now the two columns to the left of where I clicked are frozen. If I want to unfreeze, I just click Unfreeze Panes. Similarly, you can freeze the top rows if you'd like. They do have a Freeze Top Row button, but I want to freeze the first two rows. So I'm clicking in row 3 below it, and then I click Freeze Panes. And now rows 1 and 2 are frozen. So just a little bit different than Google Sheets. The next tool we will look at is text to columns. This is really helpful if your student information system pulls the report and the data that you want in 2 columns is in 1 column. So for example, column B, we're pretending that this is student names, but obviously we made student and then the number. So that's first name, last name. I want those to be in 2 separate columns and not in 1. So I am going to need to add a blank column here to the right. That's important because if I don't do that, when I split column B, it will replace the data next to it. So you want to have a blank column. Now I highlight column B, and I am going to click on data in the toolbar. And then towards the bottom, it says split text to columns. Click that. And voila, now I have first name and last name in 2 different columns. Pretty easy. In Excel, we'll look at that. So I have here column B. I'm going to click on column C. I'm going to right click and click insert. And that makes a column appear to the left of the column I was clicking on. Now I'm ready to click on column B, click on data, and there's a little icon that says text to column. Click on that. And now Excel is going to ask you a few questions. So this is the data that I want to split. And now I tell it how it knows where to split. So for me, there's a space in between student and the number. So I clicked space and it shows me where it will be split. So that is exactly what I want. I click next and I'm just leaving it into general and I click finish. And there you go. Now it's split into 2 columns. The next tool that we're going to look at is also in Microsoft Excel, but we are going to use a different spreadsheet for that. And this is actually, it's a little bit different than the tools we've been looking at, but this is something that is very helpful and I use constantly as a school counselor. It's called mail merge. I use mail merge a lot when I'm creating passes or locker notes. So I'm going to show you quickly how to do that. This is something that works better with Microsoft Word and Excel. If you try to use Google Sheets, you often have to download an extension to your Google Chrome or Google, and that sometimes requires a permission from your district. So I would suggest just using Word and Excel. And so you can use a document you already have or type up a new one. So I have this winter NWEA locker note. So I want them to finish NWEA with me. So I have a Word document and now I need to tell my Word document where the mail merge data is coming from. So I click on Start Mail Merge. I click Letters. Now I need to click the source, select recipients. I'm using an existing spreadsheet that I already have. And it's on my desktop. I want to use the whole workbook for this. So I'm clicking entire workbook. But if you had a spreadsheet with tabs, you could select different tabs or different data ranges. So now it should be connected. Now, what I want to do, I want to put the student's name here first. So I'm going to insert merge field. I'm going to click first name, then a space. Then I'm going to insert another merge field, last name, then a comma. And now I say, good morning, you need to take winter NWEA 4, and I want to put the subject area. So I have subject as one of my columns on my spreadsheet. So these are all my headers on my spreadsheet. So I click subject and now period. Please meet in room 618 for, and I want to put what period, insert merge field. I'm going to put period 1, and I'll show you why in a minute. So for this period today, bring your computer, pencil, any other supplies you might need. And now I want to put their locker number. Insert locker. So this is my first pass. If I want to print multiple passes on one sheet, now I leave a little space and I need to click on rules. Now I click on next record. So this tells the document to go down to the next person and insert their information. Once I hit next record, I can just copy and paste what I had up here and paste it right next to next record. And I have space for one more, so I'm gonna do 3 passes on one piece of paper. And then all I will have to do is cut them apart and they're ready to go. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Now when I'm ready, I'm clicking on finish and merge. And I always click edit individual documents to make sure that it's what I want and I didn't forget anything. Okay, so here's my finished pass. So student A, good morning. You need to take winter NWEA for reading. Please meet second period today. And then it's locker 6052. Okay, so then I would print this and cut them apart and I've got my locker notes and I didn't have to handwrite any of it. Now I am going to show you how I did this with the spreadsheet. So I'm just saving these and I'm going to open the spreadsheet and just show you quickly what my spreadsheet looked like to build that pass. And you can do this however you want. So I do usually first name and last name, and then I pull their locker number from my student information system. When you're doing passes, it's also important that you want to sort so that they're in locker order so that you do not have to put the passes in order. So I'm going to show you how to sort here. So I'm going to click all of my data. I'm going to click data, sort, and I'm going to sort by locker. So that's one of my headers is locker. And I want it to be smallest to largest so that they're in order. So I can just go in order to all the lockers and tape them up. So now they should be in order. And then I have what their homeroom is, the subject they need to finish for NWEA. And then I also pulled their elective periods where I'm going to pull them out of class for NWEA and what period that is. And then if they're still not done, this is the second class that I would pull them out of and what period that is. So that is what I do when I'm doing my passes for NWEA, and it saves me just a ton of time. So hopefully that will be helpful to you. I showed you a little bit of sorting, but now Brittany is going to show you even more with sorting and filtering. So I'm going to turn it over to Brittany.
Okay, so what Sam just showed you was one way to sort. And another thing that is different between what Excel uses and what Google uses is the sorting feature. So if you'll notice on Excel, when Sam went to sort, there were options for her to choose the row. However, it does not have that in Google. So what Google has instead is under this filter section. So I'm going to highlight the entire row that I would like to sort or filter. And I'm going to choose this little icon here for create a filter. When I do that, Google gives me the option to filter for everyone or filter for me. So if there are multiple people working on the workbook at the same time, and you just want to filter something so you can look at it quickly, you would want to filter it just for yourself. If you want everyone to see the changes that you're making, then you would filter it for everyone, which is what I'm going to do here. Then you'll notice that we have this little inverted triangle that pops up on each of those columns. When I do that, it will give me the option here to sort A to Z, or to sort, for example, by color if my column had colors in it. So in Google, it just has this option right up here when you use the filter feature. And then you also have filter values. The difference between filtering is that when you sort, everything just goes in order. All of the data is still going to show within your workbook. However, when you go to filter, it will hide some of the data. So if I were to filter by values and I take some of these things off, those are just hidden for now. And you'll notice over here on the left-hand side, it jumps from 2 to 7 because I took some of those things off. They're not gone forever. All I have to do is click this remove filter and everything is back how it was before. One of the things that I find really helpful about filtering is that you can either have all of your information selected or you can clear all. Maybe I just want to see the students who have 4 Fs in core classes. I could highlight, just select the 4 here, and it will give me just that small group of students, rather than having to filter, or I'm sorry, instead of having to sort it largest to smallest, where the sort would show those students at the top and then give me a list in order. I can look at just those few students and have them targeted. Another way to easily identify sets of data that, especially maybe we're trying to target interventions for students, would be to do some conditional formatting. So I have now put my information back in the order that I had it before, and I want to highlight just certain information. So I'm going to select my column here for K, and I'm going to do some conditional formatting. So I will choose format, and then I can create rules here. So I am going to format this cell if my value is greater than or equal to, let's say 3. So I want to target those students who have 3 or more Fs in core classes. And then I'm going to have a color. Those are going to be probably red for me because those are the ones I really want to stand out. So now when I set that rule, it will highlight anything in this cell where the value is greater than or equal to 3 as red. And I can add another rule. So I might want to know any student who has an F greater than or equal to 1, and those will maybe be yellow for me. So I can have that identified very quickly just by looking at it. You can set conditional formatting in multiple rows of data as well. So for my absences, I can set my conditional formatting by going to format and conditional formatting, and I want greater than or equal to 3 absences, and I will make it yellow. And then I'm also going to add one here for office referrals because I want to show you another way to use the filters that I find pretty simple. So I'm going to click on my column, go to formatting, and office referrals. I want anyone who has at least 1 office referral highlighted. So once I have my conditional formatting set, a lot of times what I do is I will want to target those students who are at risk in multiple areas. So I will go up here to my filter and I will filter it by color, or I will sort it by color, for example. So maybe I want just those red referrals. Those are the most 3s and 4s there for those Fs in those 4 classes. Those referrals here, I will filter it by having any referrals, and my absences, I will filter it by having more than 3 absences. So this group of students right here these 7 students are going to be the students that I might want to target most for my interventions. And you can play around with this and do it in all sorts of ways, but the conditional formatting feature is super helpful to get your eyes on the information very quickly instead of having to sort it through the largest to smallest. And then when we go to Excel, it works very similarly for conditional formatting. You will click on the data that you would like, and then your conditional formatting is going to be on the view screen here. No, it's not. Sorry about that. It's right there on the home screen. So sorry. And then I can highlight the cells greater than, less than, equal to, or text contains. So I will just say greater than 2, and I will keep it as the color that it recommended of red. So instead of having to go to one of these other tabs, it's already right on your home screen of the conditional formatting right there. And you can turn it off by just clear rules. You can do it from the entire sheet or from the selected cells. When I do the entire sheet, you'll notice the information in this team column has now disappeared because I had previously turned on some conditional formatting for that. And we will also look at how to calculate some percentages very quickly. A little bit later in this data series, some of the further videos will show you how to really use some formulas within Excel or within Google Sheets to disaggregate your data, but maybe we just want to look at percentages for now. So I've used some formulas to populate the information here, and I just want to come up with a percentage. So what percent of my students have an F in any class or a core class? So in order to do that, I will need to use a formula. I'm just going to start with equals. And to create a percent, I'm going to do my 34 students divided by, and I can click the cell for the total students, and I will hit enter. And that will tell me that 17% of my students fall in that range. Something to be mindful of is you need to make sure that this information here is formatted as a percent. So sometimes it will have it formatted as a decimal point, but you will need to make sure that it's formatted as a percent, which is just right up at the top. Now I will do the same thing. So equals this cell here, 142, divided by the total number of students, and then hit enter. And Google is pretty smart, so it suggests the formula for you after you've done it a time or two. So that can save you a little bit of work also. Excel is very similar. The formula will be the same. So you will do equals. You can click the cell that you want, C2, divided by the total number of students, and then you can hit enter. Same thing, equals, divided by total number, enter. So this information is very easy to understand. So if you're looking to present something very quickly to your team or to your administrators that may be of a concern, you could do this super quickly and just say, you know, 44% of our students have received an office referral, and that may be a bigger discussion that we need to have as a school or as a team. So you can use that to very quickly identify some areas of need or targeted interventions for your students. I'm going to stop this here, and we're going to turn it back over to Sam to wrap up. You're muted, Sam.
All right, so those are all the videos, or I'm sorry, those are all the skills that we're going to show you for this first video. This is, again, the first video in a series of 4, and each video will increase in difficulty or complexity. So you can see here what we expect to show you in videos 2, 3, and 4. Thank you so much for joining us. And feel free to reach out to us or follow us on social media if you have any questions or suggestions.